Hello and welcome to Live in the Zolkeen. I'm your host, 3Seed Paul, and on today's episode, our special guest is Kiche Daykeeper Apab'yan Tew. In this episode, we talk about the Kiche and contemporary indigenous cultures interacting with modern media technology. What a wild and crazy time this is. Okay, before we kind of get into it, you're going to Peru first, and then you are going to go to San Francisco?
Yes.
Cool, that's exciting.
Yeah, I told you now I ran out of time. I have to do several things during six months. I have a schedule already done for 6 months. It is good. It is. This is something that I've been fighting for because, well, I think I told you in some other moment that when my teacher died, I felt some sort of a sorrow because there was not going to be any other elder to make a consultation, and after that I discovered that I was very fortunate to be the only one who received some special knowledge, and that was because I was living in the house, in her house and in his house, both the woman and the man, and now I felt responsible for to share some knowledge and to have an apprentices who can learn these traditions, or who wanted to know these traditions. But now, and this is a little bit like a recent joke. Now I just returned from Guatemala, from my land. And we were talking about how in the other times the apprentice was fighting to find a teacher. It was fighting to be with him or with her, trying to learn, to reach, or to get the most of the knowledge under several pain or several tasks. But those were the ancient times. Now the teacher has to run to find an apprentice. The old times are they are going. In my case, for example, I was having these disturbing dreams. I was having these disturbing experiences. I really needed a teacher. And I think I told you the other time that I already tried to commit suicide because I wasn't prepared to understand what was happening. Well, I think that is the old case. Now the teacher must almost find the apprentice and then to see if the apprentice will want to learn or could learn. Everybody says something like, I don't know, it's so much responsibility, I'm afraid, or this is too much for me, or whatever. And now there's a huge problem to find a good apprentice.
Like more and more foreign people are interested in this, right?
Yes, that's true. But let me tell you, for example, one thing. People who wanted to learn ayahuasca sometimes is because they know it's like a drug or something. They are going to use it beyond the spiritual preparation, or maybe just for recreational purposes, or just for the fun of it. But here the responsibility is very very heavy, and there's nothing like there's no, as I told you, there's no more thing than tobacco and some alcoholic beverages in small amounts. So there's it is not the same attraction. It is not the same fascination. And they go with the Mayans and to the mountains to the as for example in Yucatan and to the or with us in the mountains or in Guatemala, and then suddenly they lose the passions, or they said the same, they are not prepared or something, and they just go. This is a recent
Phenomenon?
this is something new, and I think social media and internet has so much to do. The other day, I'm going to tell you, this is very funny. I was there's this very really, in fact, this very beautiful forest, high altitude forest surrounded by the clouds and by the fog, and this is really a very magical place, because we in our philosophy, we are not meant to touch a tree. You can go to jail if you touch a tree for your own purposes. You have to ask permission if you need some wood, or you have even to first to plant three new ones, and then you can take some branches from a tree. In fact, as I told you, is prohibited to touch a tree. Well, this magical and beautiful forest, I remember that place because it is a very cold place. Also, it is very in a very high altitude, and you cannot imagine. You just can picture the image of the elders and the people, and the magical moments of the fire and the ceremonial speaking and singing in the middle of incense burning, and also with these fog and fireflies and things like that. Very magical. Just picture the most beautiful image, and that's it. Well, the other day I was very happy that I was going to go to the same place to this place that I wanted to go. It is called Campana Abaj. Campana, like the bell stone. Campana Abaj. Because the stone has this shape of a bell, and I was very happy. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. That's the custom, the tradition over there. And okay. And I said, well, I'm alone in the mountain. I'm going to play my flute. I am a musician, so I love to play my flute in the mountains. You can imagine, and to climb to the top is very difficult, and I begin to play. I know there's no towns, there's no houses in the surroundings. You can perform a flute, and in at that it is all dark and everything, and sometimes some animals, some brothers can sing with you and things like that. I was like that in the climbing, playing my flute. I was very happy, very full of everything, and I hear some yellings in the top of the mountain, and I was like, "What?" And then someone that I didn't know, but he was speaking in Maya, was saying that please stop playing my flute. I'm talking in my cellular phone. And I stopped playing the flute, and then when I arrived to the shrine, some of the elders were doing and performing the ceremonies, but some of them were in the cellular phone chatting. 5 o'clock in the morning in the top of the magical mountain. So things are really changing, really changing.
I went to Tibet last year, and it was the same thing. You think about Tibet, it's this far place, high in the mountains, spiritual place, all that, and really beautiful. And when you go there and you see all these monks, they all want to take pictures with me and their cell phones. They just all, they all jump. Oh, everybody's got an iPhone, and they're like, yeah, they're taking selfies with me, and they want to, yeah, it was really hilarious, actually.
Jeez.
And we stayed at a monk's house, and he was just watching TV for the most part, and but when you went into the temple, they were, they accepted like foreigners would come in and take pictures with their phones and stuff, but for the most part, like everybody was busy doing their, I guess you call it ceremonies or rituals or whatever. They were not on their phones. They were all doing their practices,
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, but it's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere, and especially here.
Yes, and I saw it, also in the Kivas with the Hopi brothers in Arizona.
Sure.
They don't allow foreigners to use the phone, but inside the Kivas they are chatting, and they are taking pictures. They are in their world. They are doing the same.
Well, there could be like, a lot of really cool things, that come out of that. Like you can now share. Now we can all share. Like I couldn't maybe come there myself, because it's really far away. But, because it's on social media and I'm part of a group or something like that, I could see the fire. And,
Yeah.
What's happening in Dakota right now.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So everybody on the internet around the world is watching this. Sharing, commenting, donating money, talking their opinions about it, and that I think is really positive, and it's exciting. And this is the first in North America. Yeah, in North America especially, it's the first time that like a huge Native American gathering has really exploded on social media.
Yes, yes. Yes, in fact, I follow all the news because I have friends over there fighting in this moment. But and it was very sad what happened with the dogs, because
Sure.
it was a common practice during the
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. And I've been saying for a long time that it's still the same place. They try to say, oh no, it's different now. Now we don't do that, and then here we go again. They're doing it again.
exactly the
Yeah.
same.
Yes,
How?
exactly. Like same thing. You just change the person. Now it's that guy's great 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 grandson with a dog, and this guy's
Yeah.
great 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 grandson getting bitten by a dog. It's like it's exactly the same.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is so amusing. I cannot believe this is happening.
Yeah, but it's cool that they're able to attract all this attention, and we're all able to participate in it. On social media,
Hmm.
and that's the first social media thing that I've really been touched by. I've seen a couple other ones that it wasn't that interesting to me. But this one I thought was like really significant in American history.
Yes,
This is a
yes.
very significant moment for American history. At least, yeah, from how I see things.
Yes, yes, I know. I can't believe it. Well, that's new times for social media. And well, for example, for us Mayans, it was a very it was not funny prior to the 2012 phenomena, because in that moment really we were let's say trying to fight back the other calendars, and to say we are not saying anything, we didn't prophesize that, we didn't, and we lost the battle, with
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
with the internet. it was very a very good business for charlatans, for shamans, and for fake shamans and for tricksters. But in those moments, we really lose the battle with the media world, because no, no, as far as I know, and I even have had a blog and everything. I wasn't listened. Same day, and I remember there was a man from Europe that the same day that I uploaded my blog saying there's no Mayan prophecy, the world is not going to end. He was with and his blog about how to change consciousness and prepare for the thing.
Yes, yeah.
You have to ask your friends, go and visit my place to gain a traffic, to for my page to appear in the number one, for my page to go. And I uploaded my fabulous video saying, no, there's no problem, there's no way the human mind can even think about this. It's not in our capability, not for the Mayans, for anybody to predict when this is going to happen, if sometimes happens or something like that. Some months later, he was the number one. He was selling books, selling CDs, or on how to prepare your consciousness for the change the Mayans predicted. And my blog with this announcement in Mayan, in Spanish, and in English wasn't seen.
Yeah, I never saw it. I was looking for it. I didn't see it. Um, that's too bad. That was a good example of the mainstream media. The
Yes.
mainstream media really came at it hard, and they told their stories about you rather than having you tell your stories about yourself.
Exactly.
And
That's why I told you in those times we lose the battle with the internet.
and then the best part of the mainstream media is that once they've convinced people, then they just carry the story on and make it their story, and
Yeah.
their work is finished. And now you have a bunch of followers, and they believe the wrong thing. But this thing in Dakota is interesting because for forever the mainstream media refused to talk about it.
Hmm.
You couldn't find it on the news if you tried, and it became such a thing where even that made it go viral even more. Was people were saying, "Hey, the mainstream media is ignoring this. Like this just shows what kind of organization they are." You know, and people it made people want to spread it more just because the mainstream media wasn't talking about it.
Yes, yes. Well, let's hope the best for this moment, this social moment, and to not see what happened with us. Now we are recovering little by little
That's
for
right.
what the 2012 left in us, because in some sense, well, they were wrong. And the other day, one friend of mine asked me about through one Mayan page to find information, and I said I don't know any, but there are some pages
Sure.
abandoned from 2012 and 13 and 14, who pages that are already over there, that has some, let's say, a calculator for Mayan dates, but people does not do, and they didn't even post anything else. Everybody lose all the attention for the Mayan world, and as I said, and I predicted in some way that at the end, okay, we are going to lose this attention. Maybe it is going to be good, because now the ones that wanted to see the movie is we are going to stay there till the end. But now you can see a huge amount of abandoned places, blogs, and it is dead. The phenomena is dead, but also our, in some sense, our credibility. Now the Mayans were wrong.
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, there are some people who would say that, obviously, but they never even really asked any Mayans anything.
Yeah. That was that's why I told you. In that case, we lost the battle. We really lost the battle. There was no way in the academic world in anything to stop that. There was no, let's say, there was no celebrity. There was no Brad Pitt or something to help us saying no. There's no nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of slowly what I'm trying to do in my own small way. Is to just try to clear the smoke a little bit. But the one thing that was good about the 2012 thing in our culture is like we didn't know about you guys at all. Like
Yeah.
we didn't even know you existed. When they say the Central American War of the 80s, we just think like, oh yeah, that's just something far away from me. I don't know, and we don't know about Mayans, or even really their history was kept hidden from us. And
Yeah.
so what the 2012 thing did was it made everybody in our world aware that Mayans existed and that they knew things about stars and they were really smart. And those are two things that, if you say Mayan and you say like astronomy or architecture, these are the types of things we go, oh yeah, I think I heard something about astronomy or architecture. I'm not sure. I was really unclear, but yeah, I know that the Mayans were making astronomy or something. I'm not sure, And so now we don't have a clear idea, but for the first time ever, we have an idea.
Yeah, well, a little bit. As I told you, and this is kind of a funny thing, we didn't have an Sting or a Richard Gere.
Sting would be good. Sting actually would be amazing.
We really needed one, just
Oh,
one,
just
that
one.
Brad Pitt or someone who says, "Hey, yeah, hey, I have a friend that is Mayan, and he says that we really needed just a little push in the media, in the social media. But as I told you, well, we have no Richard Gere, we have no
No,
no Sting, we have no friend in that moment, and
no,
nobody really said nothing.
no.
So well,
Because nobody from
let's say
yeah.
let's say it was also a little bit funny, but well, till this moment, there's no celebrity who talks about the Mayans, the real ones.
No, no.
There's no man.
Actually, wait, hold on. There was one, but his message was negative, and it was Mel Gibson.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
had at that
yeah.
time
Well,
he had a message, but because he's a Christian, he's an
yes, I
evangelical,
knew.
so he put out an evangelical version of the Mayans, and he did some things right, like the way that he kind of advertised the story. So this is a very authentic story. This is like, and some things he did like better than anyone else, but overall his message was negative.
Yeah. In fact, he contribute to the negative.
Yes, he did.
Yes, you are right, totally right, because Apocalypto was released a couple of years before the
That's it.
phenomena. So, woo, yeah, yes, you are totally right. Yeah,
Yeah, but
well,
I forgot about it because it was negative, and I was like, "Oh, fuck that." Like I would like to see a movie like Apocalypto that was more like positive. Something in that same genre. With the same production, but something that was. Like told a story that was basically it painted the Mayans as people, not
yeah, but
kind of
also as a
monsters.
right now there's this movie called Ishkanul
I
that
saw
is,
the advertisement for it. It looks really nice.
it looks very nice, yeah,
Yeah.
but this is not once again, this is one of the things, one of the let's say things from our world, but also it is needed something more close. Well, what is needed, or what I think that it's
Hmm.
needed, is something close to the spirituality.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
that
yeah.
we are endangered. There's this always
Mm.
this we're endangered, poor people, and something like that. It is something, well, really, I don't like it. It is a reality what happens in there and
It's
what
true. It's
happens in
true.
the
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, but in the other way, there's no necessity to play fool or to play, oh, I'm in danger, help
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It
That,
tells a negative story too about something that you should feel bad about and something that's sad.
yeah, yeah, and once again, okay, and then that makes once again that you saw that people in, let's say, in a foreign exotic, uh, not close to you
Right,
way.
right, right. This is
They're
not your friend
okay,
that you
they're
drink beer with.
under the volcanoes, living their who knows what kind of life is. They suffer. Okay, okay. No, everybody's suffering, but now what I think, there is reality.
Sure.
It's because that's what's happening now.
Yeah.
Now, as we were talking, then you go out of the movies and then you send these beautiful message in the chat. Oh, you already saw Skinwall. That's a beautiful picture. And now let's go to have a beer
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
Hmm.
So okay, that's a softening of someone's
Yeah.
maybe.
It's a suffering
Well,
story, a sad story.
yeah, it's a sad and
So,
suffering story about people that always are suffering.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. No heroes.
yeah, yeah, and I think that now we already have enough knowledge and fascinating things to talk about. Not only that we suffered, and there's a joke, and I'm going to tell you. There's a joke that says that sometimes Mayans must not talk about hunger and things in their world because all the people that goes to the conference are very fat, and all the people that is that is going to speak, they cannot talk about hunger in Guatemala because they are fat. In fact, they are gordos,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they say, well, now, and the joke was like, well, now, what do we talk now about? We have nothing to talk about. Okay, let's talk about poverty, and we ended in the same places, same places. There was a very not well known movie from the 80s that talk about the civil war
Yeah.
in Guatemala,
What?
but the main motivation of the movie is not to explain or to talk or even to make these the Mayans as victims. The story goes about how a person find a spirituality and is fighting not only in the sense of the guerrilla and everything, but is fighting to get back to his spirituality. It's a very 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 beautiful movie. In the end, the main actor finds himself looking at a Mayan ceremony and a Mayan pyramid temple, and it is a very very good beautiful movie that talks about resistance in the spiritual sense. It's a small production from Guatemala itself, and movies like that. There are no movies there anymore. There are no movies like that, and it is a very 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 beautiful message of finding first your spirituality to know what you are fighting for.
Yeah, that does sound really very powerful.
Yeah, like the daughter of the jaguar. It is called.
The daughter of the jaguar.
Yeah, the daughter because it's a female.
Right.
And that was something. As for example, my father was during real times. My father was training women to fight. I have a picture. I can send it to you of all the personnel he was training, and there was so much participation in the feminine world and the woman's world during war. Not just to, let's say for example, not just to carry the water or to prepare the food for the soldiers. No, they were fighting with the Kalashnikov and also with the other automatic guns. They were fighting. They were living in the mountains. They were doing the woman's role, and they were fighting in the guerrilla. They were hand to hand with the man, because that's something that there is very peculiar. Although in the Mayan world we have roles and men do things and women do things, at the same time there's always the opportunity for a woman to play things the men can do, and men can do things women's things. So during war that was very obvious. Man and woman were fighting back at the same time. So this movie, the daughter of the jaguar, is about one woman that is abused. But as I told you, the movie is not talking about how difficult or how ugly is our life. It's talking about how she finds spirituality first of all, to know why or how to fight back. And it is a very, very beautiful, very touching movie. I have a copy. I found a movie once, and there's a book also. The Daughter of the Jaguar. Very beautiful. I recommend so much.
Maybe you could play it at the conference.
Do you think?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, maybe this movie is very, very difficult to find. Um, I was asked by my spiritual teacher to find this movie, and it was really, really, really difficult. I found it in a auction place.
Really?
Yeah, in this old format, these VHHs, and then I have to make the digital version, and I think it's the only copy that I knew. There was some friends, some Mayan friends, that told me that they begin to their path, their spiritual path, because they saw that movie.
Wow, that's the kind of movie you want to be making. I was talking with an archaeologist also on this podcast, and we were basically talking about the same thing, which is there needs to be a story or a movie. In his experience, he wanted to write a book, but just really a story. And I wanted to make an animation, like I showed you last time, about this archaeologist. He figured that there was a character in the past of the city of Planik, I think. Planik? Is that a city?
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, the guy's name is Khan Balam.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Khan Balam was this kind of a famous king, and he did some really impressive things and special things that archaeologists they're really interested in him. And he thought that if he could tell the story of Khan Balam as a person that we could relate to, like, as Westerners, but anybody, of course, but like as a person, like somebody that you could sit down with and have a beer with or something like that.
But maybe we have to return to the starting point of this. Now I don't know what is going to happen. Social media is changing everything. I don't know if people or no, I don't know. Maybe I didn't prove it, but I didn't do the experiment. But there are applications to know to see the stars, and being that there's a good internet in the mountains, and
Really, there is, eh?
yes, it is amazing. It is amazing. I told you this beautiful forest has a very good internet connection. So um, uh, maybe there are applications to see the stars and to know the name of a star, or maybe just play full or to play with the cellular phone and to see the stars. Not same old way, but with the explanations and everything. But who knows? Who knows what is going to happen? Now, as I told you, and as you saw in Tibet, the elders are taking pictures with their cellular phones, and here it is the same. I was surprised of what was happening in the USA in the Kivas, because Hopi brothers tend to be more secretive, more closed, and in fact, in some sense, that also proves to be something not quite good all the time, because youngers don't does not want to have this initiation in the shamans or this leader world, because they don't want, or they don't even are prepared for the responsibilities. But at the same time, as I told you, it was quite peculiar that under those secrecies, under those things, we all humans are doing now. We are doing the same. They were in the kivas with the cellular phones. So, and I said, okay, maybe there is not going to be any more preparations. Maybe there's not going to be any more initiations. But at least there's in some way or another. This use of the cellular phone is producing digital memory of what is happening or what is their world from the inside.
I never thought about it as digital memory before. I think that's an accurate and strong word.
Yeah, yeah. Mostly what it is beautiful in some sense. Sometimes they try to fight back my words, but what is more beautiful is that what we saw in books and things, it is mostly all the time what a researcher is seeing, what he or she is allowed to see of the world of the any, let's say, a tribe, has to say. But in this way, people is producing, as I said, is producing digital memory, seeing from their own eyes, not the researcher, your own eyes as an actor, and that is quite different of everything.
I agree. I agree. The researcher puts everything through a researcher's vision.
Or maybe just to justify an hypothesis, maybe he or she is looking for something in particular, to prove something, to see something. But what now it is collected, sometimes uploaded to internet, and going directly to your hard disk, is the digital memory of your tribe. That's why sometimes I said, I'm not fighting the cellular phone. Well, if you have to take to maybe you have to, in some moments you have to be prepared to be in silence and to be
So,
inside the ceremony, to enter in what you're doing, what you're asking. That's true. That's necessary. But at the same time now, well, we have to adapt or we're going to die.
That's it. That's the thing. It's a brand new thing. Nobody knows what to do. There's no guidebook or anything. We're all just sort of making it up as we go. And social media and the internet and all that stuff was pyramids. And sort of what they are to the Maya now, and maybe what they were, versus what we see them as foreigners or archaeologists or researchers or something like that. How do you guys see pyramids, and are there differences?
Well, first of all, I cannot talk about all my people,
Okay.
What we saw, let's say, in the highlands of Guatemala, and I can particularly talk about Kiche and Kiche people, is that first of all, these houses or the houses of the ancestors. Not only where they live, but secret places full of their spirit. In fact, there's some movement that sometimes gains strength, sometimes get weak, but that wanted to make the place, that wanted to in some way to take the places back to the original owners. Obviously, obviously the Mexican and the Guatemalan governments are fighting back this movement, but the point is that for us there are sacred places with the energies of the ancestors and our own ancestors, and people, and there are some spiritual leaders that said, well, you go with shorts and pants to Disneyland, and but if you go to the San Pedro Cathedral in Rome, you're going to be asked to be in silence, to be respectful about this place is a church, this is a place to worship God and things like that. And what happens in our sacred places is that everybody's having fun, everybody's making jokes, everybody is doing these are places in which there's no respect for the place itself, because for us is obviously a very every place is a very sacred place. And most of all, the pyramids are the mountains givers of rain and thunder, and and the places where you can offer also your presence to the sky and to the earth and to the ancestors. So they are still considered obviously the major, let's say, vortices of energy or vortices of strength and the spirituality coming from our ancestors, and they are not respected. They are totally used like a Mayan Disneyland for all the entertainment purposes, but not for spiritual purposes. There's a difference between the Mexican and the Guatemalan approach from the government. In the Mexican side, with a permission and through a very difficult and wow, an exhausting process, you can get the government's permission to do or to perform a ceremony. Mostly not the ones with fire. But after some effort, you can do it. In Guatemala, there's no need for a permission. There has been attempts from the government, from the Ministerio de Cultura y Deportes, to have credentials, for example, for the Mayan elders to have credentials to be recognized as such, to perform ceremonies. But Mayan people from the side of Guatemala, they are not going to accept that. Ugh.
No, the government should have to have Mayan credentials. They should have, like it should be the Mayans that are giving credentials, not accepting them.
Yes,
That
yes,
should be
exactly.
they
But in the
should.
Mexican side, there's so much control about that, and it is almost impossible to have a fire ceremony, although someone helps you, someone from the institutions or the government or whatever, or some a spectacle from the government cover that. If not, nah, you're lost. You cannot perform a ceremony. In fact, as for example, in Palenque, I cannot play my flute. Immediately, a person is going to approach me and to tell me to get out of the place. There's a whole market of artisans and fake artists and tricksters inside the archaeological site. They have permission to do whatever they want, but you cannot play your flute. So there's so much controversy and there's so much anger even from us because we are not we cannot we only can go to the places of our ancestors, but we cannot do what we have been doing millennia in
Oh man, you cut out just.
so but as I told you, it is not a global thing. Some places in Guatemala are used without any permission. You can go. There are some, as for example, the Chinche, the last capital of the Cachical people. You cannot do anything in the archaeological site, but at the bottom, close to the canyon, there's a place in which you can burn your things, you can perform ceremony, and there's no problem at all. You just have to put your name that you entered the place, and that's all. But it is not the common thing in all the places. I have a video in my Facebook page in which I'm playing the flute in Tikal, and it was open to do it. Nobody told me nothing. It was very beautiful to hear how the place was almost designed to make these echoes and to produce a very beautiful and harmonic acoustic. But I cannot do that in Mexico. Oof, there's no way to do it.
Well, that's not freedom. I mean, that's pretty much the opposite of freedom.
Yeah.
That's I think the people in America and Canada would probably agree that they also don't have that freedom.
Yes, and it is very horrible because although it is not your property, at least it goes on your spiritual direction. It goes with you. It is also your life, but as I told you, no national state is going to allow that, and also they are used to collect money, so it is very difficult. But believe me, there's so much respect for the mountain pyramids, for the caves, to go with all the spirituality to perform same rituals as thousands and millennia. And to make offerings almost in the same way, to offer blood, to offer incense, to offer water, to offer prayings and everything, and mostly are the same things.
That is actually very profound.
Yeah. But I think there's more openness and resistance in Guatemala than in Mexico. Mexico is more controlled.
Yeah. What about okay? Last question. What about Teotihuacan? How do you say that?
Teotihuacan, but that is in central Mexico.
Okay, yeah, but this is in Mexico, and this is near your house, right?
It's close to my house, yeah.
Okay.
It is.
That's cool. I think that's pretty cool.
It is. You cannot imagine if you have to be in there. this is one of the most beautiful, let's say, pyramids you can visit, because even from the distance, you said, "Oh my God, is that the pyramid?" At the distance, you saw this artificial mountain, and the place is speaking, let's say, about architectural terms. It has no the human size is not the measure. It's so huge, so amazing, so beautiful, and everything like that. But there's no place. It is not anymore a place to practice spirituality, at least not openly. Or you just go and sit over there and do your things while all the people is laughing, or things like that. Or some dancers go and take the place from time to time, but it is so crowded, so crowded. It is the Vatican of Mexico. I don't know if the Basilica de Guadalupe or places like that got more money, but in this place is so crowded, incredibly so crowded, so beautiful, but so full of people. So you have not real what you do what you don't get silence. There's I'm going to shift back to something that it is also. I'm going to change a little bit.
That's okay. It's okay.
I remember that when they saw in China, why is not that the tomb of the first emperor is opened? Sometimes you can hear that Chinese respect the spirit of the founder of the nation, the great Qin. And now there's also a kind of a little bit resistant movement. Not in Mexico. Mexico is not. But in Guatemala, just to leave the places as they were, because ancestors lived like that, and they were not meant to be on board. We are still a living culture, so we can claim back, no, to reclaim.
Yes, yes.
And there has been, I think I have the book. I don't know if I have the book, but this is like these statements from the Mayans people of how to use or to try to tell the government that okay, for the benefit of all the peoples of the nation, we have to preserve the sites, but it is not also this, but it is not Disneyland. It is the place in which we were, in which our people were begin to exist. So there are so much confrontation about that. Well, the pyramids are mountains. They have the same numerology, as to say, to represent their use. Most of them, they were having water in the bottom, in artificial channels for water, as I told you, representing the number one, the base, the initiation, the first step of something. Most of them has also the cave beneath the earth. That is the gestation place of the town, or the gestation place, or the place to connect to the earth lord, or the earth lady of behind the earth, the mountain that is the number 6 or the number 9 in the ceremonial practices. And then you can climb to the top, and then there's the 13th place in the top of the mountain. You are closer to the end, to the male, or to the energy of the sun. So mostly are related to the east, and then you can receive the sun, and you can perform the same ceremonials, but not in, let's say, the political or economical independence as it was prior to the invasion, but You can they are considered as I told you as the mountains. Now when we couldn't go to our own places, we use the real ones, we use the mountains. So we applied the same it is what is applied. It's the same scheme of organization of time and the calendarical reading of the mountain, the artificial mountain, and also the numbers and places. So it is a mountain, and it is very very well respected there. All Mayan people is going to respect that place.
Story about where does the Mayan calendar come from?
Where does the Mayan calendar come from?
Like,
It is
how do we know
for
this? You know,
for us is very very pretty easy to understand that it is connected to Venus and to the human pregnancy.
why is it connected to Venus?
Because of the lapse of time, and as I told you, you can make precise calculations of time and the stars using Venus. It is very pretty, very very precise and easy even. If you know how to read the stars and you know when Venus is going to appear, it is very 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 easy. You don't even need to be a genius to understand that.
What does Venus say or do? Like, how is it that you could read it or understand what it's doing, or what it means?
When Venus appears in the east in some points, and when it appears, well, she appears in the west in some points, you can measure periods of time for your corn, and for the organization of time related, let's say, to an ecological way to deal with the world.
Uh, can you give me an example?
You have to watch the west to you have to watch the west to know that when Venus appears as the
Evening?
when evening, yeah, evening star, you need to prepare things for the corn that is going to arrive.
Okay.
Yeah, but it changes. It is not the same in the same year.
Yes.
What you get it is the clue of how the move the you get the clue of how the sky is moving, but you need not so much knowledge. You just need to be okay. It appears in the sunset, in the as evening starts. So rain is coming, or in some time. It is, like, how can I say, a practical knowledge. And it is an observation thing, because for example sometimes there are storms that are always surrounded. There are these sheet lining storms with no sounds, and there are sheet lining storms that ended with thunder, for example, and that's different. Let's say the message from the sky is different. So you can do things in you just need to know how to read those things, and Venus is a very very precise star to deal with. It's a very good friend to understand the sky. And the other way is what I told you, the relationship between the human birth, the gestation moment, this cognition or this consciousness in the baby, that is related to understand how creation or how foundation is destiny. And at this point, what happened, it is the same that I've been telling since the beginning. What we heard about us Mayans is what people think about us, what the researcher tried to prove, what the researcher tried to find. But there's also these misreadings of things that comes from the beginning of the last century, in which what they thought suddenly begins like the what was the truth. There's a Western interpretation of our culture that hasn't gone. So, but in the inside of the culture, it is very precise. And listen, and this is very interesting. Listen carefully. For the woman, it's very obvious that it's related to pregnancy because of the obvious thing of creating an universe, creating a baby. And for the male, it's very obviously because he has to prepare the land, to understand the land, to understand the sky and the land. And in that way, it is very easy to know that the Mayan calendar, and for the purpose, any Mesoamerican calendar is related to how the earth and the sky are in a constant dynamic of system, a dynamic system of interrelations.
That's very poetic, actually. I'm gonna cut that out and save that. That's really
Okay.
cool. Yeah, I really appreciate that one because it explains almost the reason for the Mayan calendar existing. You know how it kind of it just came from watching these things. Yeah, very interesting. Thank you once again. I got to go to work now. Thank you once
Okay.
again for
Yes, I have to perform a ceremony now.
taking the time. I really appreciate it. I hope that I will see you. Yeah, see you soon.
Yes, we are going to meet. Well then, have a good night. Well, I hope I have a good day
Yeah.
in your case. And in this interview there was no story, but next interview I will tell you stories about the pyramids, how they are, how we talk about them
I
in
yeah,
the fall.
I really appreciate that. But yeah, it was a very interesting conversation, no doubt. Well, that pretty much wraps up this episode, and the topic was supposed to be pyramids and what the hell are they supposed to be, but we did get off topic, although I gotta say I found this conversation very fascinating and enlightening. I hope you guys enjoy it, and make sure to keep on living the Zolkeen. Peace and love.